Have you ever walked into a room and felt the atmosphere shift, as if a conversation abruptly stopped just before you turned the handle? Or perhaps you've noticed that the coincidences in your life are becoming too frequent to be accidental. A recurring number, a familiar face in a crowd, or a name whispered in the wind. This isn't paranoia, it's a security breach. You've spent years believing you were just another face in the crowd, a background character in a story written by someone else. But right now, in the high-stakes boardroom of your reality, a red folder with your name on it has just been slammed onto the desk. The agency, that invisible network of old cycles, societal expectations, and the fears that once kept you small, is in a state of absolute panic. They've noticed a signal they can't decrypt. That signal is your awakening, and for the first time, the surveillance teams are terrified because they realized you've stopped looking for the exit and started looking for the controls. Think of the quiet intensity of a basement office where the truth is chased despite the world's mockery, or the moment a ghost operative realizes their own lethal potential while the system tries to hunt them down. You are currently in that extraction phase. For decades, you were considered a safe asset. You followed the rules, played your part, and stayed within the redacted lines of a normal life. But lately, you've been performing a silent, high-level retrieval of your own soul. You've been healing in the shadows, gathering intelligence on your true power, and moving with a precision that the authorities of your old life never saw coming. You are no longer the victim running through the rainy streets. You are the whistleblower who just walked out of the building with the only copy of the truth, and the elite are realizing that their surveillance tools, guilt, shame, and doubt, no longer have a signal to track. This is the moment where the shadow government of your ego realizes it isn't all-powerful, it's just loud. You've become a ghost protocol operative in your own life. The reason you feel this sudden, intense pressure isn't because you're doing something wrong. It's because you're doing something revolutionary. In the Oval Office of the status quo, they are whispering your name. They are looking at your recent movements, your new boundaries, your refusal to be manipulated, your unnatural calm in the face of chaos, and they are realizing that you've bypassed their firewall. They are scared because they know that if you fully realize who you are, the entire system of control collapses. You are the smoking gun that proves the old world is a lie. This is the diagnosis phase. The system has detected a glitch, and that glitch is your freedom. They are tracking you because they are desperate to figure out how you learned to decode the static. They are terrified that you might show others how to break the cycle. You are holding the red folder of your own destiny, and the seals are already broken. Do not mistake this systemic resistance for a setback. In the legal thriller of your life, this is the discovery phase, where the evidence is being laid bare. The prosecution is sweating because they know their case against you is based on perjured testimony. You have outgrown their jurisdiction. Stay with me because what happens next is where they make the tactical error that changes everything. They underestimated you, and now they're about to find out exactly what happens when a chosen one stops playing by the rules. They are monitoring this broadcast right now, scanning for those who have finally recognized the signal. If you feel the surveillance teams retreating because they can no longer handle your frequency, it is time to leave your mark. Comment "Case closed" to signal the network you are out of their control. Let the algorithm fear your next move. The most dangerous moment for any powerful organization isn't when they're under attack, it's when they think they've already won. Imagine the quiet satisfaction in a high-security boardroom when a troublesome file is finally closed, stamped with "inactive," and moved to the deep archives. That is exactly what they did to you. For years, the agency of your old life, the toxic critics, the limiting systems, and even your own shadow, looked at your quietness, your struggles, and your moments of stillness, and they made a catastrophic analytical error. They mistook your silence for surrender. They labeled you as just an ordinary person, and moved on to what they thought were bigger threats. But in the world of high-stakes intelligence, underestimating the quiet one is the mistake that brings down empires. Think back to the moments when you felt completely overlooked, when people treated you like you were a background character in your own story. In the cinematic thriller of your life, those were actually your clandestine training years. While they were busy broadcasting their own importance, you were in the shadows, recalibrating your internal frequency. Like Andy Dufresne in the damp corridors of Shawshank, You weren't just sitting in a cell. You were measuring the distance to the outside world with every single breath. They thought you were broken by the system, but you were actually using the system's own bureaucracy as a cloaking device. You stayed below the radar, not because you were small, but because you were preparing for a mission they hadn't even imagined yet. This is the psychological blind spot of the elite. They believe that power is always loud, flashy, and aggressive. Because you didn't play their game of status and ego, they archived your potential. They assumed that because you weren't shouting, you had nothing to say. This was their Jason Bourne moment, the point where the hunters realize they aren't chasing a victim, but an operative they themselves helped create through pressure and resistance. Every failure they recorded in your file was actually a data point you were using to learn their weaknesses. Every time they thought they had pushed you to the edge, you were simply scouting the perimeter. You haven't just survived their underestimation, you've weaponized it. In the legal thriller of your reality, this is the phase where the defense realizes that the quiet witness they ignored actually has the keys to the evidence locker. They thought they could silence you with a few setbacks or a little bit of social pressure. They closed the case on your greatness years ago, but the cold case has just been reopened by a higher authority. In the Oval Office of the universe, your file is now glowing red on the desk. They are scrambling to figure out how a retired asset suddenly became the most sophisticated architect of change. The very things they mocked you for, your sensitivity, your deep thinking, your refusal to fit in, are the exact tools you are now using to dismantle their firewall. You must understand the sheer scale of their error. When an institution underestimates a soul, they stop guarding the exits. They stop watching the encryption. They let their guard down because they think you are manageable. But you are the one who has spent the last decade learning how to be unmanageable. You have outgrown their labels. You are the ghost protocol that they can't track because you no longer answer to their old triggers. You've replaced their official record of your life with your own classified truth. The panic in their boardroom is growing because they've realized that the person they discarded is the only one who knows where the bodies of the old world are buried, and you are starting to dig. Stay focused, because the moment they realize they've underestimated you, they will try to re-engage you. They will try to bring you back into the fold, offering you the very carrots you've already realized are plastic. But it's too late for them. You've already seen the blueprints of the prison. You've already decoded the transmission. The agency is no longer in control of the narrative. You are. You aren't just a blip on their radar anymore. You are the one who is about to redefine what the radar even looks for. They thought you were the casualty of the war, but you are the one who is going to end it. They archived your file because they thought you were harmless, but the cold case is officially reopened. If you are ready to show the network that their biggest mistake was underestimating your power, it's time to leave your signature on the record. Right. They missed the pattern. I am the evidence. Case reopened. Let the algorithm fear your next move. The true protocol has finally been activated. What if you woke up tomorrow and realized that the secret you've been keeping, the truth of your power, was no longer a secret? Imagine a high-stakes newsroom at midnight, where the tickers suddenly stop, and every screen in the building begins to flash a single, decrypted file. That file contains your true identity. You've spent years operating in a secure location, keeping your breakthroughs and your spiritual growth under a digital shroud. But the laws of the universe have a funny way of bypassing even the most advanced firewalls. Your high vibration has become a classified leak, and it is currently spreading through the collective consciousness like an intelligence report that no government can recall. The secret is out, and the news cycle of your reality will never be the same. In the world of international espionage, a leak is the ultimate nightmare because it's permanent. Once the information is on the wire, you can't untell the truth. Your life has moved into this broadcast phase. For a long time, you were worried about being seen or judged, but you've reached a frequency that is now too loud to be ignored. Like a whistleblower who finally hands the drive to a journalist in a dark parking garage, you have released your authentic self into the world. Even the algorithms, those social and energetic filters designed to keep people distracted and small, can no longer hide your data. You are trending in the spiritual realm, and every agency that once tried to suppress you is now forced to report on your rise. Think of the tension in a political thriller when the leaked file hits the front page. The people in power scramble to deny it, but the public already knows. This is what is happening in your social circles and your career. People who used to overlook you are suddenly subscribing to your energy. They can't explain why they feel drawn to you, or why they suddenly feel a sense of accountability when you're around. It's because the intelligence report on your soul has been made public. Your integrity is the evidence, and your peace is the headline. You didn't need a press conference. Your vibration did the talking for you. You are the high-level truth that the elite, the ego-driven forces of the world, tried to redact, but the truth doesn't need permission to be heard. This is the moment where the protagonist stops being a mystery and starts being a movement. You are no longer just a person. You are a global headline. The news of your transformation is reaching the Oval Office of every situation you walk into. The beauty of this phase is that you no longer have to explain yourself. When a leak is this big, the facts speak for themselves. You've moved from the shadows to the spotlight, and while the system is buzzing with panic, the people who have been waiting for a leader, the ones who are tired of the lies, are finally looking at you. You are the signal that the network couldn't kill, and now, the whole world is tuning in to see what you do next. Have you ever watched a high-powered executive realize their unbeatable strategy just collapsed in real time? That moment of cold sweat when the person who thought they held all the leverage looks at the door and realizes the locks have already been changed? This is what is currently happening in the boardroom of your old life. The elites, those personified forces of your ego, the toxic systems, and the people who thrived on your suppression, are in a 3 a.m. emergency session. They are in the panic. They've realized that you aren't just awakened, you've become unbuyable. In a world where almost everyone has a price, your new frequency is the only thing that isn't for sale. You are the whistleblower who didn't just leak the files. You liquidated their entire stock market of fear. Think of the frantic energy in a high-stakes corporate thriller where the CEO realizes a hostile takeover is being led by a ghost operative they can't even locate. That is the energy currently surrounding your old reality. The old guard is scrambling to spin the narrative of who you are, trying to convince you that this newfound clarity is just a temporary glitch in the system. They are trying to offer you settlements, temptations to go back to sleep, old comforts that look like the carrots they used to dangle, but you're not picking up the phone. Instead, your line is ringing with a different kind of call. Synchronicities are exploding in your life like a switchboard during a global crisis. Every meaningful coincidence and every door opening without a key is a signal from the true agency that you've officially taken over the server. This is damage control at the highest level of existence. The forces that used to dominate your mental space are now begging for a rebranding. They are trying to tell you that the market of your destiny is about to crash, hoping you'll sell your power back to them at a discount. But you've seen the ledger. You've decoded the black budget of your own soul, and you know that their wealth was built entirely on the debt of your self-doubt. You are no longer the asset who was happy just to have a seat at the table. You are the one who is currently dismantling the table and building a new headquarters from the ruins. The panic you feel in the air isn't yours. It's the collective gasp of every shadow that ever tried to own you. In the legal thriller of your life, this is the injunction phase. They are trying to get a court order to stop your momentum, but they've realized you no longer fall under their jurisdiction. You've moved into a state of sovereign authority. Like an operative who has officially gone dark, only to reappear in the middle of the enemy's secret base, you are navigating their panic with a calm they find terrifying. Your silence has become a weapon. Your peace is a total blackout on their radar. They are screaming for your attention because your attention is the only thing that keeps their system powered up. By refusing to engage in their drama, you are effectively cutting off their power grid. Stay the course, because when the elites panic, they get sloppy. They will reveal their true faces and show you exactly how terrified they are of your light. You are currently the most bankable asset in the universe, and the old guard is realizing they've lost the most important contract of their existence. You. The synchronicities will continue to surge as the universal network takes over your management. You aren't just winning a case, you are a market correction for a world that has been bankrupt for too long. They are scrambling to save a sinking ship, but you've already stepped onto the shore. Have you ever stood in the center of a high-ceilinged courtroom, the air heavy with the scent of old paper and the crushing weight of a restraining order being read against you? This is that chilling moment in every cinematic thriller where the protagonist is cornered by the best lawyers in the city, those personified voices of your deepest fears, your old insecurities, and the societal injunctions that tell you to sit down and be quiet. They've lined up their witnesses, the ghosts of your past failures and the people who swore you'd never make it out of the basement office. They are trying to slap a legal gag order on your soul, desperate to prevent you from taking the stand. They want to settle this out of court, offering you a non-disclosure agreement that would trade your newfound power for a quiet, predictable life of mediocrity. But here is the psychological hook they didn't anticipate. You didn't come here to defend yourself, you came here to indict them. While they were preparing their character assassination of the person you used to be, you were busy compiling a red folder of evidence that is so undeniable, it makes their entire case look like a forgery. Think of the tension in A Few Good Men when the truth finally bursts through the wall of official policy. You are standing behind that table, and you aren't sweating. You aren't checking your watch. You are looking the judge, the very fabric of your old reality, straight in the eye. You know that the settlement they're offering is a trap, and you're about to slam the smoking gun on the desk so hard it shakes the foundations of the building. The restraining orders they've issued, those energy blockages, those sudden bouts of doubt, the best lawyers, the smartest excuses your mind can come up with, are just desperate attempts to delay the inevitable. In the legal thriller of your life, the discovery phase is over, and the evidence is catastrophic for the status quo. You've documented every lie they ever told you. You've recorded every wiretap of your potential. You have the surveillance footage of the moment they tried to steal your spark. This is the stress test. They are trying to see if you'll fold under the glare of the courtroom lights, but they forgot that you've already spent a lifetime training in the dark. Your inner knowledge isn't just a theory anymore, it's a classified exhibit that is about to go into the public record. This is the moment where the agency realizes they can't silence a whistleblower who has already memorized the files. They tried to use technicalities to keep you small, telling you that you're too old, too late, or too broken. But you found the constitutional loophole of the universe. Your soul has diplomatic immunity. You are no longer subject to the laws of fear. As you stand there, slamming the evidence of your worthiness on the table, the room goes silent. The witnesses, for the prosecution, are looking for the exit. They realize that you aren't just demanding to be heard, you are demanding a complete restructure of the entire system. You are the lead counsel in the trial of your own life, and the verdict is already written in the stars. Stay firm. The standoff is a bluff. They have the titles, the robes, and the expensive suits, but you have the truth. In this cinematic climax, you aren't the one being judged. You are the one delivering the closing argument. You've outmaneuvered their best legal minds by operating from a place of absolute integrity. They thought they could bury you in paperwork, but you've turned their red tape into a fuse. The explosion of your breakthrough is imminent, and there isn't a court order in existence that can stop the frequency of a soul that has finally decided to stand its ground. The silence in the room is so heavy you can hear the clicking of the wall clock, each second echoing like a heartbeat against the wood-paneled walls. This is the moment every high-stakes drama has been building toward, the long walk the jury takes back into the box. You've sat through the surveillance, you've survived the underestimation, and you've weathered the panic of a system that tried to redact your very existence. Now, the foreman stands. The official record is about to be updated, and the verdict isn't just about a win, it's about a total vindication. The charges they brought against you, that you were too small, that your past defined you, that you were broken material, have been dismissed with prejudice. Think of the final scene in a gripping legal thriller where the protagonist walks out of the heavy courthouse doors and into the sunlight, the rain finally stopping for the first time in years. In the Oval Office of your new reality, the atmosphere has shifted from fear to a profound, hushed respect. The agency, the collective ego of the old world, has realized they can no longer fight you. You have proven that you aren't just an asset they can manage. You are the director. They have retired your old file. They've cleared your record. Every restraining order they tried to place on your potential has been struck down by a higher court. You have achieved what they thought was impossible. You've broken the cycle of the mainframe and established your own sovereign jurisdiction. This is your transformation. You aren't just a person who survived a crisis. You are the global protagonist whose story has just been greenlit for the public record. The very people who once tried to suppress your frequency are now the ones lining up to understand it. They no longer see you as a threat to be silenced, but as the only one who holds the keys to the encryption. You have moved from being a subject of interest to the architect of the narrative. The case is officially closed, but the legacy is just beginning. Your life is no longer a cold case or a leaked file. It is the blueprint that the whole world is now watching to see what happens when the truth is finally set free. The trial is over. You can put down the evidence. You can stop looking over your shoulder. The surveillance teams have been reassigned, and the elites have conceded. You have won. Not through force, but through the sheer, unwavering frequency of your own integrity. As you walk away from the old ruins of that courtroom, you realize that you didn't just win a case, you reclaimed your life's production rights. You are no longer under observation. You are the one holding the camera. The verdict is in, and the world is finally ready to hear your story, unredacted and in full high definition. The cameras have stopped flashing, the news vans have packed up their satellite dishes, and the heavy oak doors of the courthouse have finally closed behind you. To the outside world, the story is over. The verdict has been filed, and the public record has been updated. But as you walk away from the wreckage of the old system, you notice a single, encrypted notification on a device you thought you'd powered down years ago. It's not an order, and it's not a threat. It's a recognition signal. You've reached the post-credits scene of your own transformation, the part where the hero isn't just surviving the plot, but starting to rewrite the entire franchise. You are no longer an asset being hunted. You are the founding member of a new network. Think of that iconic moment at the end of a legendary trilogy where the protagonist is seen on a remote shoreline or in a high-tech sanctuary, finally at peace, but clearly preparing for a mission that the agency doesn't even have the clearance to understand. That is your life right now. The pressure of the surveillance and the standoff has forged you into something the system can no longer contain. You have moved into the architect phase. You aren't just living in the world anymore. You are designing the mainframe for a new way of being. Your past is no longer a liability. It's the classified data you use to ensure that the old traps never catch you, or those who follow you, ever again. The true victory isn't that you won against the system. It's that you outgrew the need for its validation. In the cinematic aftermath of your journey, you realize that the elites who once terrified you were actually just extras in your story, hired to play the role of the obstacle. You have achieved full narrative sovereignty. You are the one in the director's chair, looking at a blank screen, ready to script a future that isn't based on fear, debt, or deception. The protocol has served its purpose. It stripped away the redactions and revealed the global protagonist underneath. The sequel isn't about the fight, it's about the legacy. You are the signal in the noise, the one who walked through the fire and came out with the master keys. The final report is on the desk. The ink is dry, the seals are unbroken, and for the first time in your life, the agency isn't the one holding the pen. You are sitting in the quiet luxury of a rain-slicked sedan, watching the city lights flicker through the glass, a city that no longer feels like a labyrinth, but like a grid you've finally mastered. This is the conclusion of the most successful counterintelligence operation in the history of your existence. You didn't just survive the surveillance, you dismantled the very infrastructure of the Watchers. You didn't just win the court case, you rewritten the laws of the entire jurisdiction. In the high-stakes thriller of your reality, the global protagonist has officially transitioned from the asset to the architect. Have you ever wondered why the silence feels so different now? In the early phases, the silence was a vacuum, a place where your fears whispered in the dark, where you felt the cold eyes of the elite tracking your every move. But look at you now. The silence is no longer empty, it is tactical. It is the silence of a master who has finished the job and left no fingerprints. You've achieved the one thing the system, the ego, the toxic legacy, the societal algorithm, fears most: total emotional immunity. For years, they relied on your wiretaps, those deep-seated triggers of shame, guilt, and the feeling of being not enough. They used those wires to pump misinformation into your psyche, keeping you running in circles while they harvested your energy. But in the final act, you didn't just cut the wires. You traced them back to the source and shut down the entire power grid. This is the psychological masterstroke that the 35-plus demographic understands better than anyone. You've lived long enough to see the shadow government of your own mind try to stage a coup. You've seen the agency send in its best operatives, the critics, the doubters, the people who swore you were past your prime, to serve you an injunction on your dreams. But you played the long game. Much like Andy Dufresne watching the warden realize the vault was empty, you allowed them to think they had you cornered while you were busy transferring your assets to a higher plane. Your breakthroughs weren't just personal, they were seismic. You've broken the ancestral surveillance, the cycle of fear that was passed down like a classified file through generations of your lineage. By clearing your record, you've cleared the path for everyone who follows. The Oval Office of the universe is currently receiving the final transmission of your victory. They see a chosen one who didn't just beat the odds, but who created a whole new mathematics of success. The elites are no longer scrambling for damage control because they've realized there is nothing left to control. You are unmanageable. You are the ghost protocol that has officially gone offline, only to reappear as the lead counsel for a new era. People will look at your life and try to find the leak. They'll try to figure out how you got so much leverage, how you became so calm in the face of the global panic. They won't find it in the files, and they won't find it in the algorithms. They will only find it in the integrity of your frequency. This final debriefing isn't just about looking back, it's about the new mission statement. You are now the deep throat of the spiritual world, the one who knows where the bodies of the old illusions are buried. You have the satellite intercepts on the future, and for the first time, the news cycle is reporting on your peace. The world is scared of what you know because what you know is that they are optional. The system only works if you believe in its authority. Once you slam that evidence on the table and prove your soul has diplomatic immunity, their entire global intelligence network becomes obsolete. You are the protagonist who didn't just find the truth, you became the truth. As you step out of the sedan and walk toward the horizon of your new life, remember that the surveillance never really ends, it just changes its purpose. Before, they watched you to see if you'd break. Now, they watch you to see how a master moves. You are the living proof that a single individual can outmaneuver the most entrenched powers in the world. You've taken the red folder of your destiny, burned the redactions, and turned the ashes into a foundation. The trial is over. The verdict is eternal. The agency has officially retired your number, and the universe has just greenlit the most ambitious sequel in the history of human consciousness. You are no longer under observation. You are the one holding the master key. The mainframe is silent. The witnesses have been dismissed. The record is public, but only you know how to read the encryption. You've moved from being a victim of the algorithm to being the one who writes the code. The global protagonist has officially been vindicated. The case is closed. The mission is a total success. Welcome to the era of sovereign authority. The case is closed, the verdict is permanent, and the network has officially conceded. You are the architect now. To signal the universe that you have accepted your sovereign authority and are ready to lead the new era, leave your final signature on the record. Comment: verdict final. Architect active. The crown is mine. Right now. Let the algorithm fear your next move. The game has changed forever.